And we're back with NFL Network's own Lindsay, Rhodes. And Lindsay, I got to ask you, we're sitting in front of the Raiders backdrop here.
Yes.
The Las Vegas Raiders. Is that going to, as a broadcaster,
it's gonna be weird.
Is it going to be hard to get used to?
Totally. I still call the Chargers San Diego on the reg. So, yes, it will probably be about 3 years before I get Las Vegas down.
It's kind of a funny internal thing. So, on everywhere, people call Derek David Carr.
Oh, me too,
Listen,
included.
we've all done it, but every time that we hear someone do it or one of us does it, we put $1 in the jar.
Okay.
And so I feel like now we're going to have an every time you call us the Oakland Raiders or you don't say the Las Vegas Raiders, you got to put $1 in the jar.
No, see, now you're cutting into my pocketbook. I don't like this idea.
But
and I also don't like the
you.
David Derek because I would lose money that way too. I've done that several times on the air.
What is the one that gets you hung up the most? Is it the San Diego one still? I know San Diego for us is still really, really hard to break that habit.
Well, the problem with that too is that there's 2 Los Angeles teams. So not only does it feel weird to say Los Angeles Chargers because just we're trained to say San Diego Chargers, but like the LA, you can't just say LA because then that's something that needs specifying.
Yeah.
It's just I wish the league had checked with me before they did this because, I feel like it's very hard for a broadcaster. I'm just kidding, obviously. But, yeah. So we'll get used to Las Vegas.
It'll come in time. In time. It is going to be cool, though, just the optics of it and the new market. It's all fresh. It's very exciting. We've talked about it a lot, obviously, in the past couple of weeks, but in the past 48 hours especially, about how it's going to be such a fresh start for this team, this organization, in a brand new stadium, top of the line, everything. It's going to be pretty exciting for us.
Yeah, with a draft kickoff.
Yes.
How about the draft stuff? That looks fun.
I know. It is going to be something. Are you going to be in Vegas for the draft or are you going to be in the studio? Or are we too far out from that?
I'm typically in studio. So my guess is that I'll be in studio.
That's good.
Because that's always been the case in the past. Yeah, I'll make my pitch. I think you guys need me there.
I know the Raiders have 2 first-round picks. There's a lot going on. There's so much excitement in the first round this year.
Yes.
I think you should go.
Thank you very much.
Let me know who I need to
Can I get
email.
a copy of this tape? I'm going to send it to my boss. The Raiders want me there. I think that's what I just heard, right?
Yeah.
Like you speak for Mayock and
I've done no, Mike, I know that you listen to this show every week. I'm not doing that, but I am saying we should get you the
He
draft.
better be listening to it now because I'm on it.
Oh, he will. He will.
Okay? And if I don't hear back about the things that I said, Mike Mayock, then we're fighting.
Oof. Speaking of Mike, heck of a year. Heck of a start for Double M.
Year.
Heck of a start.
So excited for him. It sounds stupid to say proud of him, but I worked with him for a long time at NFL Network. Huge fan of him at NFL Network. I'm so glad that he's doing this and that everybody's getting a chance to see what he can do and that he's crushing it because you never know how something's going to translate, But with him, he's always been such a tape guy. And, we would try to get him to do TV stuff, and he would roll his eyes and be like, you're asking me? I can't even do a Mayock. Okay, never mind. I'm not even going to try to do that.
I would love to hear the Mayock impersonation.
I started with it and then realized I can't do that. But he's got such a strong Philly accent. I'll tell you what the one is Eric Berry. Eric Berry Eric Berry.
Oh,
yeah, I translated for you. Will forever be Eric Berry to me because that's what Mike Mayock called him right out of the gate. But anyway, he was just that guy any of the fluff that sometimes is necessary for TV, you're like, okay, the quarterbacks move the needle. And he'd be like, I do not want to talk about a quarterback again. I want to talk to you about the offensive guard out of whatever school. And you're just like,
who played 6 months of college football, but he loves the tape.
Totally.
He loves that first step.
Yes. But I love that. So I'm a nerd, right? I want all of that. I'm that viewer that I want you to tell me about the guy that I don't know about. I want you to tell me where all of it. Sometimes, TV producers don't feel that way. They're like, let's go another round on Burrow, and how about Tua? And so, sometimes you just kind of go, okay, Mike, we're going to do 2 questions about quarterbacks, and then you throw in a random guy that nobody knows that you're excited about. But I'm the person that would eat up the random guy.
You're like, all right, that's cool. Yeah, I know about the quarterback. Let's
so the whole, his draft last year, everyone was freaking out about the number 4 pick, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, if he was sitting at the desk and he was the draft analyst and he'd been telling us for months how much he loved him, then we would all be like, that's a great pick. Yay, they got who they wanted. You know what I mean? It's just so weird. He's good. He gets it.
Yeah.
And he's always been one of those people in the league, too, where, like, I've gone around with him to pro days and stuff, and the hardcore football people, the GMs and the people who just live and breathe football, they have always been Mike's people. Like, they love him. And so you always knew that the things that he was saying, they're not fluffy things. They're not just like, oh, I'm hearing whatever. It's like the good football people, the Bill Belichick type people in the world, they think like him.
Which is a good thing for us.
I think he's going to be good for you guys.
I know, and he really hit it out of the park. I mean, you look, we're here on Radio Row, but a big portion of the reason why we're here, we have 2 guys up for NFL honors tomorrow. We got Josh Jacobs, Rookie of the Year, Maxx Crosby, Rookie of the Year, and that's a pretty good way for him and Coach Gruden to start off year 1 together. 2 guys up for Rookie of the Year.
So James Jones on Total Access last night made a pitch for Maxx Crosby. He said he thinks that he should be the Defensive Rookie of the Year over Nick Bosa, and went into all the reasons why and made a really strong argument about what he's done and how he doesn't have the guys around him at the moment that Nick Bosa. Like, Nick Bosa's surrounded by people.
He's got dudes from left to right.
That, like, it doesn't take anything away from what he does. Nick Bosa is obviously awesome, okay? But you are allowed to do what you do and just, like, unleash it when the guy next to you is doing his job. And the guy next to you on the other side is doing his job. Like, it just elevates the whole thing. So, not to say that, but the Raiders are still building. You know what I mean? Like, especially on the defensive side of the ball, there's some work to do.
You look at 7 and 9. There's still work to be done.
So there's an argument about what Maxx Crosby did, and that he did it without 5 first-rounders around him on the defensive line. I think he kind of opened my eyes a little bit to. I mean, I knew Maxx Crosby had a great season, but I think James Jones made some really strong arguments for him. That said, I don't think I think Nick Bosa just. The whole, like, the groundswell. I think Nick Bosa is going to take home the award, but I think that Maxx Crosby is a star. Yeah,
absolutely. And, look at Josh, too. And we were looking at Josh's numbers like an hour ago. Impressive, and then even more impressive when you realize he missed 3 games.
It's insane.
And not only did he miss 3 games, he had a bum shoulder for 50% of the season.
Yeah.
And he was still going out there and competing and getting better and better week after week.
And if I had a vote, I would vote for Josh for Offensive Rookie of the Year.
We do need to get you to Vegas.
For sure.
We do need to get you to Vegas.
Well, I mean, but that's not even like a bias thing or anything like that. Josh Jacobs was really good. I mean, what you guys had from a wide receiver standpoint this year after all the Antonio Browns, they tried to make moves, but, like, there
wasn't that guy.
He did it without that, like, really strong wide receiving core that could stretch the field. And, like, you could stack the box against Josh Jacobs. It didn't matter. He was still doing what he did. He's a stud. So I'm really excited about Josh Jacobs' future, and I think that what he did out of the gate changed your fortunes dramatically. I thought you won games this year because you had Josh Jacobs, and then the offensive line too.
Absolutely. It's funny he's talking about James again, because James also said essentially what you did. He goes, when you're a defensive coordinator, you come into the game and you say, I have to stop Josh Jacobs.
That was it.
And it didn't matter. People they tried, they did whatever they could, and off he ran.
Yeah. And A.J. Brown was a stud, and he's
another
guy that you're going to talk about in
Kyler
Murray. But I think, I just think it's obvious. For me, it's Josh Jacobs as the Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Look, I hope so. I'm thinking the same thing, sending the same vibes that you are. But I'm curious for you, what does your Super Bowl Sunday look like?
Like personally,
or like this Sunday,
So this Sunday, I will be going to the airport and flying home.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know. It's not the answer you were expecting.
It was not. That threw me off a little bit as you see me stutter and now try to figure out what to do.
No, so I do NFL Total Access on Monday from the studio in Los Angeles. So I'm flying back on Sunday, and I will watch the game from my couch like everybody else in America at a party or whatever. But NFL Network will be on the air for, I think we're doing like 8 live hours for game day morning, and then there will be a Game Day Prime and after the game. And so pretty much before, after, all of it, if you're into Super Bowl coverage, go ahead and turn on NFL Network, have it on in the background while you pre-party.
Party and post-party,
obviously.
There will be
tons of information to get you set for the game.
Yes, that sounds great. Lindsay, Rhodes, thank you so much. This was a blast. We'll see you in Vegas. We're going to get you to the draft party. I'm going to have Mike make some calls.
Yes.
We're going to do it all. Oh, hang on.
You guys have Paul.
Marcel.
Oh, hi.
The infamous Lindsay Rhodes.
That's a bad thing, you realize.
It's not.
Infamous means like famous for negative reasons. It's like notorious. Whatever. We don't need to dwell. Well, that's not what you meant. Okay.
That's not what I meant. Lindsay Rhodes is amazing, awesome, one of my favorite people to work with. And my question for you is, what's your favorite part of Super Bowl?
My favorite part of Super Bowl? My favorite part of Super Bowl is the week and just running into people that you don't see all year long. And Marcel Reese. But I do see him all year long. I saw him last week. So
I saw Marcel last week, too.
Like,
Did you?
Yes, we were at the stadium together. Oh, was it last week?
See?
It might have been
All
2
our
weeks
are
ago.
Just running together when it comes.
I know, it might have been 2 weeks ago. It was in the past 30 days, though. I think that's fair,
Well,
right?
so
but
you're at the
so here's the thing. Like, so I'll work with Marcel Reese all week, and we sit in a meeting, and then we do total access together. But there's no, like, downtime throughout the course of a regular day where you're just, like, sitting and talking and whatever. And my favorite part of Super Bowl is, I mean, Super Bowl is fun and the game is fun and all of it's great. But then it feels a little bit like summer camp meets high school reunion. And it's a lot of people that you don't see all year long. And then people like Marcel that you do see, but you don't have time to just sit and decompress and like actually talk to and get to know. So I'm a big lobby bar at the end of the night, just sit there, watch people walk through, and then talk to people that you don't get a chance to talk to.
I mean, everyone could use a little Marcel Reese hang time in their
Yes.
life. Everybody. It's good for the soul,
That one
man.
gets me
It's
at
good
night.
for the
I gotta
soul.
get outta here.
I know. Get out of here. We'll see you later, brother.
Yay,
Well,
Marcel.
Marcel and Lindsay, look at that. The beauty of Radio Row.
Yay.
Magic.
My brother's going to be so proud of me because he's the biggest Raiders fan in the whole wide world, and he's going to be so happy that I did this.
Thank you. And we're back on Radio Row with one of our favorites. I know I say that every time, but I like to drive the point home. John, Abram, and John. Dude, we saw you last week in Vegas. You're on the show again this week. At this point, we should just build out a segment for you. Every week you come on the show and you chop it up.
Let's do it.
I like it.
We're going to call it Salmon Sessions.
Dude, okay, so great segue. And I promise I didn't tee you up for this. I met someone last week who says salmon.
It's a lot of people who say salmon.
I've never known anyone personally outside of you, of course.
I opened the world's eyes to it.
She was from the South, is what she was saying. That she went to school in Alabama.
That's why.
And she said it's salmon. She goes,
Yeah.
because I was talking to her. And
Like when you go to restaurants down there, you just in the South, you just be like, if you want salmon, you be like, I want salmon. If you say you want salmon, they be like, you want what?
You get good salmon down south.
Yeah.
I think when I think of good salmon, I think
You
of
get
California.
good,
I think of the West
fish
Coast.
and good seafood anywhere, pretty much down south.
You've been eating good since you've been here.
Oh yeah.
What'd you have? So last night we went to this
I went
Cuban
to Prime
joint.
Fish,
Oh.
Alaskan king crab.
Oh, so you're eating while you're down here.
Oh yeah.
We went to this Cuban spot last night. Really good.
What is it called?
Havana 1957, I think. Future sponsor, I suppose. But we got like a little bit of everything. But they had this. They call it an enchilada, but it's not an enchilada like we think of.
Mhm.
It's essentially like a cioppino. It was like seafood with like a better oh, dude. I went to bed
might
last
even
night
go
thinking
check
about
that
it.
out.
Yeah, man. I'm seriously go check it out. But you're not the only guy in town, which is great. There's a lot of silver and black running around Miami, which is good. So we've seen you. We saw Josh. We're seeing Josh tomorrow. Maxx. D-Wall was running around earlier. But I'm curious. We've heard so many people make the case for Maxx and make the case for Josh for Rookie of the Year.
Rookie of the Year.
Exactly. Now I'm curious because we've talked a lot about how you had a really unique perspective of this season. You're essentially a redshirt year. When you looked at, we'll start with Maxx first. When you looked at Maxx and what he was able to do week after week, what really impressed you from him from week 1 to week 17?
Just seeing the growth, honestly. Working on his get off. Playing more consistent. Not just having those ups and downs throughout a game. He just played consistent. And he becoming one of those key guys that we could depend on.
You're talking like a coach now, man. You got the coach. I'm going to get you a clipboard. You've been hanging out with Gunther too much.
I've been hanging out with Coach Gruden too much.
What's Gruden like one-on-one when you guys are just chopping it up? Is he like what he is normally?
Nah, I mean it's it's a lot more focused, relaxed. Still intense, but more serious. When it's me and him one-on-one, we have true heart-to-hearts. We talk about a lot of things. When we break down film and things like that, he's always teaching me. Trying to help me to grow and be a better player and a better person.
We talked last week about how important it was and how I thought it was so important and so great that you stuck around during rehab this year and you weren't running around. You were at the facility as much as you were. Who did you kind of spend when you were just rolling around 12-20? Who were you spending the most of your time? Like, who were the guys that you were talking to the most, whether it's your teammates, the coaches, whoever it was?
Mike Mayock.
Double M?
Yeah. Yeah, we spend probably 2-3 days a week for probably 2-3 hours a day, just watching film and stuff like that. Just talking about, the upcoming, the future and the present, things that, that frustrated both of us, things that we like, that was going on throughout the season. One of the players, Josh, me and Josh came really close. Me and him are like really close friends now.
Yeah.
Keyshawn Nixon, he was a guy, I turned to, main thing, I was just trying to help him a lot throughout the season. He's an undrafted free agent, so, he had a different perspective than I had. He didn't feel like, he had many chances, but I told him, if they didn't want you, you wouldn't be here.
I think that's interesting you bring up Keyshawn because that's such an interesting dynamic where you come in, you're this big dog, you're expected to produce day one. Obviously, the injury happens and you find yourself in a different role. But you look at a guy like Keyshawn, who you said essentially comes in here as a UDFA. In terms of, just for you, in terms of John Abram, is it good to have guys around like that who have such a different outlook on the league, on this as a business, compared to a guy like you who comes in? I'm just curious about that dynamic and how much you can learn from a guy like him, and vice versa, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, you learn a lot. Like I said, we in pretty much the same position but total different positions because we came in, at different levels. I was the first rounder, he was an undrafted guy, so I do have a little bit more wiggle room. But like I told him, they wanted you here, they brought you here for a reason. When we picked out, who we wanted as UDFAs, like I remember sitting in the office on the second day of the draft and, going over some guys with PG and, J.O., and they hand-picked these guys, Jalen Maiden. I mean, I said Jalen Maiden. Dylan Maben. Jalen Maiden paid me at Mississippi State. Dylan Maben, these were guys that, were hand-picked. These are the guys that we want. So, they went out and found us, and I had to, tell Keyshawn that, throughout the season, like you can't relax. These guys, like these coaches, they went out and picked you. They want you here.
And it's so interesting, too, where you look at the way that the NFL is now, right, where you have to be good from 1 to 53.
Yeah.
Both of these teams that are playing in the Super Bowl on Sunday are good from 1 to 53.
Yes.
And it doesn't do you a whole heck of a lot of good if you're good from 1 to 24, but that 25th guy is not very good.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool to see that.
I don't like why Eddie just used 24.
20. Oh,
he could have used 30.
I could even.
He said 24.
35, 27. Pick a number. You know what I'm saying? But it's interesting that, and it's kind of, it makes you feel good, like we're on the right track. That's something in the mind of Gruden, of Mayock, like, hey, yeah, it's great to have John Abrams. It's great to have Josh Jacobs. It's great to have these big dogs, but you need to fill out that roster from 1 to 53.
Yeah. And then, and that's one thing, just looking back at the season, ended up going 7-9. Last game of the year, just didn't fall the way we wanted it to. Could end up being 8-8. Didn't make the playoff runs, because the Chiefs ended up winning out. Titans ended up winning out. But, when I look back at it, looking at, all the things that we have to look forward to, 2 first-rounders this year, some third-rounder guys, and we got a ton of money in free agency that we can spend. So it's just like, I'm looking at it as we're going to go into Vegas, a new team.
Man, you're talking like, you can tell you've been spending time with Mike, man. You're talking about the draft picks, about the capital we got coming up. I can't wait to see you in the war room at some point saying, like, hey, we got to move from 12 to 24 to wherever it is.
And see, Coach Gruden wants me to be a coach. But, like, when me and Mike talked about it, I told him I would rather be on the GM side.
I could see you doing that. Like, what do you think? What draws you to that side of it? Is it the evaluation? Is it getting to know guys? Like, because you strike me as a good people person.
I'm a good people person, but it's a fine line, Guys don't love football these days, like they did in the past. A lot of guys just play it just because what they can do for them. So, and that, that disinterests me. So, and I get really frustrated, being there throughout the season, all year, I saw week in and week out, PG and J.O. giving us, tips of, when they get in, like the Titans, every time they got in a loose bunch, they would run a deep, like if it was a loose bunch, they would run a deep route. So the first play of the game, when the guy ran the out and up on Nevin, it was just like, we just told you they're going to run a deep route when they get in the loose bunch.
It's so crazy. I'd love to talk to you for an hour just about stuff like that, just about in the game, what you see, what you got to see, especially this year, because this is the first time that you've really been
just watching.
Just watching, knowing like, hey, there's nothing I can do. My timeline is my timeline. But I would love to talk to you about that. But I'm curious, do you watch the playoffs? Like, do former guys, like not former guys, but do guys who aren't in, like, do you watch the games on Sundays?
Yeah. Yeah, it's, you want to see, who's playing at a high level, and what it takes to get to this point. I actually, one of my close friends plays for the Chiefs, and one of my close friends plays for the 49ers. And so I actually went to a 49ers game, the last game. He gave me a ticket. He was like, this is my last game, because he actually came to one of our games.
Oh, okay. Oh.
Yeah, they had a bye week. He ended up coming to our game.
Now, did you go in? I can't imagine you went in silver and black, right?
You know I did. Come on.
No, you didn't. You went. John Abram waltzed into Levi Stadium, head to toe red. Who said? No one said anything to you, right?
No. And I was in there screaming, "Go Pack, go!" because I hate the Niners. I was like, "Put cheese on everything," because I do got friends that play for the Packers as well. So I was rooting for both of those guys, but just being around, I was around, Emmanuel Sanders, guys like that, because it was Debo's birthday as well. And, he was just telling, just talking about the standard, He wore his, his championship ring from Denver. He was just saying, how, they always, the vibe is just different. It's like a brotherhood. They come together to work. They have fun, but they get a lot of work done. He just it's just a championship mentality, and I watched that, and that's part of the reason why I watch the games. I'm trying to see, what it takes to build a championship.
And it's people talk about that championship mentality so much, and obviously the teams that talk about it are the teams that are playing for championships. Yeah. But do you look at this team the way it's constructed now, and knowing all the draft capital coming, like you brought up, like John Mayock brought up, but do you look at that and you're like, hey, we have a chance to really kind of establish that here in Las Vegas?
Yes, I mean, talking to Gruden and talking to Mayock, they have high expectations, for me, Josh, and Clee. So, I'm trying to learn about it so I can do my best job, and do my best of my ability to, to set the standard and to uphold the standard, of a championship mentality.
Well, John Abrams, our guest. And, John, before I let you get out of here, I'm curious, what does a Super Bowl watch party at your house consist of? Little salmon?
We ain't having one.
Nothing?
We ain't having one.
Are you just going to kick back on the couch, watch the game?
Yeah.
That's good. I mean, at this point, I figured it'd be charting plays, like looking at free agents that are coming up.
No, I'm getting ready for next year. I'm watching the Chiefs, watching Travis Kelce.
Yeah, I mean, hey, we're gonna need you to shut down that big fella next year.
I know.
For sure. I mean, he's a beast, though. I mean, you look at Waller. That obviously it's in our locker room and has been a stud. Had a great 2019. Just the whole package of 2019 was so good for him in so many ways.
And it's only gonna get better, we're going to put more pieces around him. People can't double him anymore, so then he becomes a mismatch guy.
Yeah, I mean, that's really ideal to play and get a little help on the outside, get a little this. Josh is bigger, badder, faster, healthy in 2020, and things are looking up for the silver and black. And, John, man, we like hanging out with you. This was a lot of fun. We need to come in, talk ball for a little bit. I want to pick the brain of John Abram, the player evaluator, the future general manager. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right, brother. We appreciate you. Enjoy the rest of the time here in Miami, and we will see you. Man, we'll see you soon, I'm sure. Man, and we couldn't be more excited to kick off Super Bowl week in a big way with our guy Maxx Crosby. And, Max, it feels like we just left, man. I mean, the situation, the locale has changed. We're not in the Beat Lab at 1220, but we still get the headsets on. We're still crushing audio tent, man. How you doing?
Of course. I've been great, man. Been traveling. I just got back to Miami. I'm doing, Radio Row and get to do honors and a bunch of stuff. So it's been awesome. The season was, didn't go the way we wanted, but, excited to get back out there.
And we'll ask you about the season in just a sec, but I'm excited that we got you kind of early in the process of the Radio Row madness because I worry, and we deal with this every year. It's like people ask you guys the same 4 questions, 5 questions. By 3 in the afternoon, you're like, listen, man, I had a great season. I was trying really hard. Week by week, I got better. So I'm glad that we got you early now. Everything's fresh, nothing to wash and repeat. So I'm excited about that.
Exactly, no doubt.
You mentioned the season. Obviously, there's ups and downs. There's ebbs and flows to every season. But it's been a little over a month now. You kind of get a chance to relax, sit back, kind of take stock of what went well last year. And I'll get to you individually in a second. But when you look at the team as a whole, 2019 in its totality, what's kind of going to stick with you?
The biggest thing for me is just, it was the last season in Oakland. That's just all I think about, like, when I think about my rookie year. I'm so glad we had a full year to soak up the whole Oakland, community and the fan base. And, obviously we're moving on, but when I think back to it, we grew a lot this year. We got a bunch of new guys. We got some older veterans that have stepped up. And, I think the future is so bright. So, I just think about the city of Oakland and, what the future has to hold.
And I'm glad you brought up not only Oakland but the young guys too, right? Because you look, obviously you're here, Josh is here. You're here for a reason, going to NFL honors. We're going to get to that in a sec too.
Oh, yeah.
But you look at kind of the nucleus of what, Mayock and Coach Gruden are building here. You look at the fact that you guys are going to have have that Oakland experience, right? We talk the owner talks all the time about how important it is to honor each chapter of this journey. But when you look back at the group of the young guys, the U's, the Josh, the Fosters, the collective, how exciting is it to know that, hey, 2020 in a brand new stadium in a brand new city, things are going to be pretty nice out there.
Oh, yeah. I just got to see the whole stadium and the practice facility and all that, and it's unreal. I've never seen anything like it. So, the future's so bright, and we have so many guys that are, that love the game and are ready to, be a staple in this organization. So, that's what we talk about all the time, the rookies and even the older guys too. Like, we're all on the same page. We just want to win, and, that's all we think about. So going into a whole new chapter in a whole new city, it's gonna be something special.
We were talking about it yesterday. I'm curious to get your kind of thoughts on it. Is that it almost feels a little bit like a college program where you're building a little bit, where you're like, hey, we're all coming back. We're all young guys. We're still gonna be here for a couple years. Yeah. And we have a chance to do something really exciting in this program. Does it kind of have that feel to it for you too?
Yeah, for sure. It feels like a smaller recruiting class, and we came in and recruiting classes are hit or miss, and I feel like from top to bottom, we had guys contributing. So
literally round 1 to 7, undrafted, didn't matter.
Everyone, yeah. So it's like you look at it and we're like, okay, it was our first year in the NFL and we can do some things. Now we're like, okay, now we got year 2, we got our feet wet, and now we're just thinking about winning championships. That's all that the goal is at the end of the day. So it's gonna be something special, no doubt.
Max Crosby, our guest here in Miami on Radio Row. And Max, obviously you're doing the rounds, but you're here for a reason, a good reason, going to NFL Honors on Saturday night. And before, I'm going to have you make the case for Josh, for O'Roy in just a sec. But for you in particular, when you look back to your rookie year, was there a moment, a play, and anything in practice maybe, where you're like, okay, I think this is going to work?
Yeah, honestly, shout out to Trent Brown. I got his stuff on.
Greatest underdog.
Yeah, honestly, the first time I beat Trent, I was like, okay, I can beat anybody now. That was it. He's so good and so big. And once I beat him, I was like, all right, now it just made my confidence grow and grow. So going against him every day in camp, it's just like it's nothing like any other person you go against. He's a giant human.
He's a behemoth.
He's a dinosaur.
What TG you say to you after you beat him?
He just smacked me on the back. He's like, good
rep.
I can't say that, but I can't cuss. But yeah, good rep.
All right. Obviously, you're not going to be there alone. The silver and black can be well represented Saturday night at NFL Honors. So Definitely. Do me a favor, make the case for Josh. I'm not going to put you on the spot making the case for Maxx Crosby to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. Yeah. But why should Josh be the Offensive Rookie of the Year? What did you see from him?
Josh Jacobs can run the ball. He can catch the ball. He runs downhill. He has over 1,000 yards, and he missed 3 games. He's had 7+ touchdowns. I can go on and on, but he's a special player. I knew since literally the first day of practice when he got the ball in his hands, it just looks like second nature to him. So I think it's a runaway to me. I think it should be unanimous that he wins, but we'll see what happens. But I'm knocking on the table for Josh for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So last one for Max. Max, I heard you have a very special +1 for NFL Honors. So come on, break the news. Who's the +1?
Mama V, Vera Crosby, my mother. She's going to be in attendance. She hasn't been to Miami in 20+ years. So I got her out here. She's about to be here tomorrow. So I'm super excited. About to be on the red carpet with my mom, so it's something special for sure.
What's the fit? What are you rocking? I know you got something in store.
You'll see. I'm about to get that lined up today.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. Well, Max, we'll see you on Saturday, brother. Thank you so much, and we'll catch up with you in a few days.
Oh man, thank you.
Well, we had the guy who was up for Defensive Rookie of the Year yesterday in Mad Maxx Crosby. That's a hard one to say, man. Shoot. And today we got the Offensive Rookie of the Year nominee, Josh Jacobs, in the house. And Josh, first off, man, it's been a couple months since we saw you. Well, actually, a little bit over a month. How has the offseason gone for you so far?
It hasn't really been an offseason.
Just grinding? How you feeling?
Yeah, man. I feel really good. Body feels really good. It's just, man, I've been doing so much, like everything back to back. I haven't had a chance to really rest yet.
I got to ask you, too, man. You've done a lot of really cool things since you entered the league. I know it's only been, not even a year.
Yeah.
But you did one of the coolest things that I think I've seen a guy do in a really long time. You bought your dad a house.
Yeah.
Which was awesome. Anyone who's read your story, who knows anything about you, probably knows how meaningful that was to you. But what was that always the plan to get the old man a crib, or how did that moment in time kind of come to be?
Man, believe it or not, I told him, I think it was 8th grade, 7th or 8th grade, I remember I told him, I said, man, when things are different for us, I'm going to buy you a crib. And I remember him telling me, like, man, I remember us having that conversation. And, I mean, he said, you know, your kids always say things like that, but you never know, like, will it actually happen? And, I mean, when I had the opportunity to do it, it was just like, it was a no-brainer for me. It was easily top 3 moments of my life.
What are the other 2?
I would say having a baby, and then obviously getting drafted. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's right up there. I mean, it's one of those things where, like I said, like, you've been so good about sharing your story. People have been, and it's a great story. It's an inspiring one. But to see you kind of come full circle to give it back, I mean, what was that moment in time where you saw him? Yeah, look,
just gave me chills. I mean, because honestly, man, that's what it's always been about for me. It's always been about that for me. It's don't get me wrong, like, football is definitely a thing that I love to do, and I'm definitely the ultimate competitor. But I always knew that it was bigger than me. I know that this platform that I'm on, I mean, it reaches a lot of people, and it's like if I don't inspire others to want to do better and inspire them to want to be better, then I feel like, you know what I'm saying. So that's kind of where I'm at, and I want to give back. I don't want to be one of the people that leave and then nothing changed. Don't create change. You know what I'm saying. So we actually have me and Kia. We actually have a partnership where we donated money for the game. I donated already, and for every yard in the game, we're donating $1,000. But we have a bigger donation that we're going to do that I can't really speak on too much, but it's going to be dope.
That's really cool, man. Yeah. That's really, really cool. Yeah. So your dad's got his house. He's all taken care of, which is great. What about Josh Jacobs? You got a house in Vegas yet, or what's
I'm actually going out there next week. So I'm going to be out there next week, few days, to try to figure out what I want to do. I know I want to live like 25, 30 minutes away from the Strip. I don't really have a problem commuting or whatever, but, yeah, I'm trying to stay in the, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, hey, man, I know exactly what you're saying. Hey.
Man, because it's like all of this is just a lot, you know, and then I'm probably one of the most, like, chill dudes. I just like to kick it at the crib, so as long as I have a pool and video games, I'm good.
Is that something that you guys have, like, talked about? Like, like, yo, it's like, things are going to change, right? And it's a good change, but it's a change nonetheless. And the mindset, the demeanor, I imagine, has got to be a little bit different when you get to Vegas compared to Oakland.
So I've actually been talking with a lot of, like, hotels and stuff, and a lot of them trying to do, like, partnerships with me and things like that. And I've been talking to them because a lot of them have casinos. So I've been talking to them, like, how do we put it where the players can, like, not get in here as much? You know what I'm saying? Like, how do we need to structurally, like, figure that out? So we actually coming up with a couple of plans. I know the Cosmo, they coming up with a couple of plans of helping prevent that, you know what I'm saying, for players from doing that. So, I mean, I know that the city is Vegas, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it is what it is, but I feel like the better we can get at that, the better off the team would be. So, I hope that the Raiders end up having classes or anything, you know what I'm saying, what to do, what not to do out there and things like that. So, we'll see how it play out.
I mean, sage wisdom, dude, because, you know, it's – people think all the time about Vegas and, oh, man, it's going to be crazy, this and that. And that's for normal guys like me and you. Like, we both know we're playing in different sandboxes for sure. You know what I mean? So, like, I can't even imagine what it's going to be like. It's going to take, I feel like, a lot of self-discipline, a lot of, like, really being on your P's and Q's and knowing that you got something bigger and more important than a Friday night.
Not only that, it's just like, man, we're going to be a big attraction out there. There's so many people that's going to be looking at you, and it's going to be so many cameras. You have to literally almost do everything right, like literally like to the T. So I've been telling guys, like the rookie group, we all have a group chat.
I know, and you wouldn't tell me what the name was last year. You going to tell me today? I know you wouldn't tell me in April.
Nah, because there was we all have a group chat. So, man, we talk about a lot of things, man. We talk about stepping into that leadership role this year. I know a lot of the guys play big roles this year, but we trying to take it to that next level. We trying to change the culture and the mentality of the team, man, and try to get back to that dynasty. So we all keep up with that. We all try to, man, post our little workout videos and stuff, like get each other pumped and just get ready to get back on it.
Who makes you laugh the most in the group chat? Because everyone knows in one group chat there's one dude who makes you laugh harder than anyone.
For me, it's either John, because, you know, John is a character, man.
I know. He was sitting in that chair yesterday. I know he's a character.
It's either John or I would say – I don't know, bro. It's a lot of funny guys.
Yeah.
It's a lot of funny guys. The group chat is pretty crazy.
Yeah. All right, Josh, we got to ask you one thing before we get out of here. I asked Maxx yesterday the same thing, to make the case for you to win Rookie of the Year, and he gave a very compelling argument. I'm not going to put you on the spot to make you give the case for you to make Rookie of the Year, because I know it's not really your deal.
Yeah.
But why should Maxx win Defensive Rookie of the Year?
Man, Maxx is the most slept on defensive player in the league, I feel like, honestly. And I mean, it's crazy because me and him have these talks a lot. And it's just like, I'll tell him, like, man, you have leading in sacks, leading in, like, tip passes, like, all of these kind of things. And I'm just telling him, man, just regardless of how I play out, bro, stay true to you. And because he's going to be a beast. This rookie stuff is, for both of us, I feel like it's cool. But in the grand scheme of things, he's going to be a household name, and he's going to be a legendary, for real.
And that's what we're hoping. And last one before we get you out of here, Josh. I don't know if you remember, but our guy Kyle asked you a question at training camp last year about possibly being named Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
And he said, you know what, man? I'm going to let my play do the talking.
Yeah.
What did the play say this year?
Man, I mean, the play definitely did the talking, but it's crazy because I feel like I didn't do enough. I feel like I left a lot of yards and a lot of things on the field. And it's a lot of my game that I feel like I can still improve on. So that's my biggest thing. I've been working harder than ever, trying to make that step that I make sure I don't also get that sophomore slump. But not only that, but just improve.
Well, I mean, you're off to a great start. 2019 was a great season for young Josh Jacobs, and 2020 is going to be even better. We appreciate you coming and hang out with us for a few minutes, man. It was good to see you. We will catch up with you very soon at 12:20 in Vegas, wherever it is. We're excited, brother. Good to see you, man.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me.